Tonight's story is about a young woman, an amazing young woman with a huge heart, a graceful soul. Her psychic ability is empathic simulation with a little bit of empathic interaction. Empathic simulation is best described as when an empath creates a identical feeling in another person or people. They're capable of creating a psychic emotional mirror. Either they are instantaneously feeling the same as other people, or other people are instantaneously feeling the same as them. The difference between other forms of empathy or telepathy is that information isn't just going from one person to the other. It's not a I or me or you. It's a we. We are. We feel. Empathic interaction is a little bit different. It's a bit more compulsive. It's a bit more forceful. It's a bit more intrusive. And it's more, I need you to feel this way. Oftentimes, people use this ability to calm others down in social conflict, or to get everybody on the same page or the same wavelength in a group or a team. It can be used socially, but it can also be used professionally. The young woman I'm going to be speaking about tonight, she's a very good example of someone who had a psychic ability that went right. But then later on in life, it went horribly wrong. She started initially confusing her emotions with others. She was, up till this time, very good at distinguishing her emotions, their emotions. But things started to blend. It not only became confusing for her, but it became confusing for others around her. And sometimes it was just exhausting. A little too much. Until a little too much just became overwhelming. When she'd go to work, she'd feel these waves of emotion crashing down on her over and over again. The waves would continue. She'd try to swim, but she felt like she was always drowning. She tried to push it out, try to focus on her work, try to focus on her relationships, her friends, her family, her boyfriend. But she always felt swept away. And sometimes she felt scared. Sometimes she would get in arguments with her boyfriend, and as a child, she always knew if you stayed calm, maybe everyone else would. But she was so tired and so exhausted and so over it that she found herself forcefully trying to get other people to feel a certain way, to feel what she's feeling. Not intentionally. She could tell that her anger was rapidly increasing anger in others. And others, some would describe it as almost like an emotional attack. They just couldn't handle being around her. So she quit going out. She felt detached sometimes, very depressed. Sometimes she didn't even know what she felt at all. Not because of everyone else's emotions, but because she was shutting down. She had an empathic fatigue, and she felt cold, shut off. And she felt this was horrible, being someone that was so warm and loving and caring and thoughtful. Her childhood was a little mixed as far as blessings go. Her father was an alcoholic, and her mom and her dad would fight often. In the evenings when he'd come home from work, which he didn't drink at work, he just drank at home. Initially everything was fine, but as the evening progressed, he'd get more angry, and her and her mom felt like they were always walking on eggshells. When arguments broke out in the house, she was always quick to try to calm things down, usually verbally and asking kindly, quietly, and softly, please. And if she was calm, sometimes they would calm down too. Most of the time. Or at least in time. One night, her father didn't calm down. And she kept trying and trying to calm the situation, but her mom and her dad, they were just back and forth until finally she just started yelling. She just couldn't take it anymore. Every night. This night, her father abused her mother physically for the first time. She was so mad and enraged and scared and overwhelmed. She didn't know what her future held. And in that moment, that climactic moment of pure chaos, she ingrained into her subconscious we need to feel. And worse, she ingrained, you need to feel. once sweet and soft girl who always liked helping everyone because she always helped her mom, now became a potential weapon. Thankfully for all of us, she had a heart of gold. And thankfully for all of us, that was the last night her father drank. Life got better after that. Mom and Dad started smiling more. They started laughing around the dinner table more. They started going out on outings. And life was good. She finished high school. And she decided she wanted to be a nurse. So she enrolled in nursing school. But then there was all the stress. And she was working in the hospital, and there was all the patients. All the people that were sick and miserable and sad and depressed and angry and confused. It was madness. She couldn't take it anymore. She found that she was just making her patients worse. And she was broken because of that. But it wasn't that everyone was drowning her in their emotions. They weren't tossing her into the sea. She needed to feel. She needed others to feel. She needed to control the situation. So what could she do? Well, in counseling, her primary goal would be to feel secure again, safe. She started working on building up her self-esteem and her self-confidence in counseling. And it took time. She had to find a balance again between helping herself and helping others. She had found that she was giving all of herself to everyone else and leaving nothing for herself at all. She was pouring from an empty cup. And she had to learn how to let go. She needed to realize that you can't control everything, but you can be there to solve problems, troubleshoot, and calm people down when they're angry or scared or confused. But this was all talk, a bit abstract. She needed something more practical, more physical, for her to find her way back. She started doing music therapy and sound therapy. And this helped so much because she loved music. She always loved music. She'd always have something on somewhere if she could, because she loved it. It was a huge part of her life. She also loved to swim. She didn't swim when she was younger, but she learned. And she absolutely loved it. She loved how the water felt like the waves of the emotions. And she'd meditate on that, calming the roaring seas until they were calm like glass. And in time, she found her way back. And she could help her patients. And she could help her family and her friends. She could go out and socialize, have fun, have adventures again with the girls. And she could feel what they were feeling. And they could feel what she was feeling. But it was beautiful. And it was vibrant. And she didn't feel the need to control anymore. Because she had found safety in her own strength, in her own determination. She parted the waves. And she walked out of that ocean. And she even learned a few new tricks to help her help others a little bit more. But that's another story.